Hey, what's going on everyone? My name is Aaron, and today I want to walk you through my financial incentive program for my window cleaning business. This is for my managers as well as their technicians that work with them when we clean windows. Maybe you are someone who wants to work with me. This is just a description of how the pay structure works, so maybe clarify some things for you. Anyways, I'm gonna jump into it, but before I begin, I do want to outline that my priorities on a job site for window cleaning are as follows. So safety, quality, and speed, and in that order. You never want to mix up this order in any way. You can't put speed before safety, or you'll be dangerous on job sites and can potentially hurt yourself or someone else. Can't put quality under speed, because then you're just rushing through jobs, you're being sloppy, and the client's gonna call you back, or they're gonna have a bad experience and they're gonna give us a bad review online. In this order always. After you master those two, will come speed. And speed is really where the financial incentive program really kicks in. So I just wanted to mention that first because I didn't want you thinking like, I'm training my managers to just go as fast as you can and then get out of there. No. We gotta go in this order. And so there's gonna be 10 to 15% of jobs that are gonna take longer than it's budgeted for. These things happen. I always tell my team, it doesn't matter if you have to go a little bit over time to make sure the job is done right, done safe, and the customer's happy. We work on a budget system, which means we base our jobs and we quote our jobs based on budget hours. Let's say as an example, a job has 3 budget hours. It's a 3 budget hour job. So what a budget hour basically is, and how I like to explain it, is the amount of time that a job should take if like one person's on that job. So in this case, 3 budget hour job would take 3 hours. It probably wouldn't in like reality, but just for math. If there's 2 people on that job, it would take 1.5 hours. And if there's 3 people on that job, it should take 1 hour, right? And we have 1 manager and 2 technicians. Job should take 1 hour. I pay a budget of $19 per budget hour. So 3 budget hour job would be $57, and that would be the budget. Now, we gotta figure out what the cost is. So the technicians that are working with us, they cost money for their time and labor. I pay my guys $17 per hour. The minimum wage currently right now, I believe is like 15 or so in Ontario. I wanna attract high quality candidates, so I pay a little bit more than minimum wage, which would be $34. You follow me? The difference is actually the manager pay. So the manager gets whatever is left over, which in this case is $23. So the 3 budget hour job for 3 people should take about an hour. The budget is $57. The cost for employees, $17 per hour, 2 employees. The difference is $23. So that manager made $23 for that job. And most jobs, a majority of jobs will probably hit the time, right? Because we quote jobs for the time that it should take. And so most jobs usually hit the time. Unless you're a really, really fast crew and you've been doing it for a bit, you can get away with doing more jobs. Like for me, for instance, I've been cleaning windows for like 6 years, 7 years. So I can just crush jobs on my own if I wanted to. Now, what happens if that hour-long job takes, as an extreme example, let's say 1.5 hours. So it takes an extra half an hour. It's still an hour job, still budgeted hour. We're not changing the quote for the client unless we need to, but mostly we stick to the quote that we gave them. Unless it's like egregious, right? But let's say that job, maybe it's an early job for them in the season, and so they're just a little bit slower, right? And again, safety, quality before speed. That to me is way more important. So maybe it's one of the first few jobs and it's just taking 1.5 hours. So let's do the math there. The job is now 1.5 hours. Right? Budget would stay the same, but now the cost is different. So now we have $17 per employee, but now we got to pay them for their 1.5 hours, right? So they're not just going to work an extra half an hour for free. We got to pay them for their time, which is $17, which if you did the math, that leaves $6 left in the budget. Now that manager also worked that 1.5 hours, so obviously I'm not paying him $6 to work an 1.5 hours. What happens in this case when they go overtime, their per hour, I pay them out at their minimum, which is $19 per hour. So for the manager, they'll get paid 1.5 because they work the 1.5 hour job times their minimum per hour, which is 19. For any hour they put in my business, they make $19 as a minimum, which would be, I think it's $28.50, I believe. The 2 expenses I'm now paying for, that's obviously more than 57. So in that case, I would be taking a little bit of a hit in terms of profitability, but to me, it doesn't matter as long as it's not like a consistent problem, right? Are they like super slow, like day to day, or is it just like a job to job? So if it's every job once in a while goes a little bit longer, as long as they're being safe and as long as the quality's there, that's okay with me. As long as the customer's happy, the job is safe and being within reason, that's totally fine. But here's where the actual perks get in. Because what if, instead of doing that job in 1.5 hours, you did it in, I'm not gonna pay the technicians or the managers for 45 minutes. I'm actually still gonna pay them for the whole hour. So the manager makes 23 bucks for that job, but he didn't actually work the full hour. which means he gets an extra 15 minutes of paid time. So this is where it gets interesting. So if you take a look at the effective wage rate, it's about how much money you're making per the actual hours of your actual time spent on the job site. So in that case, if it was 45 minutes, the technician is gonna be making $17, right? For 1 hour, but divided by 45 minutes, so their actual time. So their effective wage rate, 22.67. That's their per hour wage rate. Okay, so what about manager, right? They're the one leading the team. They're the one setting the pace. This is why they get the reward, right? They're also doing all the back end work too, if you think about it, calling the customers, booking them in, scheduling them, handling the complaints. They made 23, right? Because that's what was left over in the budget, divided by 0.75, the amount of time that they actually do the job. So that's their per hour like output or wage rate. Does that make sense? The concept is basically like, no matter what, you get paid for your time. The technicians will always get paid $17 for their hours. If it goes over and under, still get 17. But when it goes under, they're actually working less time for the same wage, which means their per hour goes up. A really effective team with a strong manager and a really high quality service, right? They don't have to go back and fix anything. They do it right the first time and they get the job done under the time. We'll actually make like, yeah, up to like, you know, this is just an example. This is only shaving 15 minutes off, but if they did that consistently job to job, like they'd be making $30 per hour. I'm not paying them $30 per hour. I'm paying them, you know, $23 and $17 per budget, but they went under so that they get the reward. It simulates being an entrepreneur because obviously when things go wrong, there's a little bit of a hit, like you take too long on a job site, your per hour goes down to 19, minimizes for the manager. Set text, it doesn't, they get paid for their whole time. But the reward is even there too when they hit the time for both the techs and the manager. Because then if the team can finish consistently under the time, they can reap all the benefits. So here, I'll put this example up as like a day. Doesn't matter how long each job is. Let's just say 6 jobs and they shave off 10 minutes per job. Like they come under the job under 10 minutes of the time consistently 6 times, which means they would save 60 minutes at the end of the day, which they would get paid for. So for that extra hour at the end of the day, they'd still be getting paid, which then they can go and do other activities like marketing where they get paid per hour and doubling up their hours, or they can just go home early. So the idea is to incentivize people to be productive on job sites, not waste time, get the job done within the allotted time. And if it does go over, it's okay, because at the end of the day, they'll still get paid per hour. Does that make sense? I hope that does. I really wanted to explain this because it is a kind of a complex system for production, how it works, but the reward is there for those who are willing to put in the effort and work really hard, right? Awesome, okay. That's the financial system explained. Thanks so much for watching, and if you have any questions, just drop them below.